Good day, everyone. Thanks so much for checking in with the ORM podcast and the ORM YouTube Chanel. Today, Joe Desena, just got off the phone with him. For those that don't know, Joe Desena, CEO of Spartan Race. Before he started this company about 10 years ago, he made an awful lot of money on Wall Street, and I wanted to check in with him on the craziness with GameStop, the current situation with COVID and races opening back up, and how the Spartan Games went. Real quick reminder, if you like this show and the shows that I do on a regular basis, you can support it through Patreon. That's right, a couple of your dollars every month helps this show go. Check the links below or just go to patreon.com/obstacle racing media. We really appreciate the support. Now, on with Joe. Joe Desena, you made a killing on Wall Street a couple of decades ago. You're watching all this insanity happen in the last couple of days. What are your thoughts?
A couple of things, Matt. I saw some people post on my Instagram not too long ago and say, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're a fucking fitness guy. Who are you to talk about finances or whatever? And a couple of things, anybody watching or listening. Number one, you need to immediately read a book called Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Very important that you read it if you're remotely interested in finance. History repeats itself. Exactly what was going on today, it was going on in the 1800s, going on in the early 1900s. I watched it happen through a few cycles in my career in the 90s, in the 2000s. What happens, here's the deal. Brace yourself, because I'm about to give you guys a lot of insight here. And this is just basic stuff. By the way, before I tell you what I'm about to tell you, go back and read about the tulip craze. There was a tulip craze. There was a great South Sea bubble craze. There was a company called the Great South Sea Bubble. I forget the name of the company, but there are moments in time throughout our history for 500 years where we do crazy things when it comes to investment, because now here's the big thing I was going to tell you, because this is not a financial game. This is a psychology game. This is a social game. And what social media does is it just increases the speed at which we go crazy as human beings. In other words, it used to require, when I first got to Wall Street, which was very advanced relative to the 1800s and 1900s, right? In the 1990s, when I got to Wall Street, mid 90s, it was still archaic, but still advanced in the sense that if an institution, if Fidelity, for example, wanted to place an order, they called a salesman called a trader called another trader then talked to a broker then talked to a clerk. Like, there were like 18 fucking people in the process to execute an order, right? And if there was some buzz about a particular security, a fixed income security, derivative, stock, whatever it may be, if there was some buzz about it, you picked up a phone and you had a conversation, and then that person had another conversation. So you can imagine there was a lot of friction in the system. Today, it's high speed, right? Today, it's all electronic, and we're talking to each other on social media instantaneously, which just means that our crazy minds that are based on greed and fear, just two things, greed and fear, are moving more rapidly. So ridiculous instances like GameStop, if that's what it's even called, GameStop, have more extreme moves much faster than they would in the past. But this is going on for 500 years, guys. This is not new. It's just that the system, social media and technology, just increase the speed at which our insanity expresses itself in the financial markets.
A couple of questions. Can you turn that shade? Because you're getting a big thing across your face. If you can, great. If you can't, don't worry about it.
How's that?
Perfect.
Good?
Perfect. Yeah. So the government and the regulators and other people are getting involved. They're saying this is not right. And I saw the governor of, I think it was Massachusetts, because that's where GameStop is based, maybe, was saying, listen, we're going to stop this because we're trying to protect you, which I, of course, immediately red flags as bullshit. Like, that's not why you're stopping it. Joe, do you think it's fair because apparently, quote unquote, people on the internet are screwing the big guy? Should something be done? And how is that different than all the past crazy speculation of tulips and whatever else?
All right, listen, motherfuckers. Now you're going to piss me off, okay? You're really fucking pissing me off because I can't even get the governor of whatever fucking state to step in and say, stop eating Doritos, right? Stop drinking alcohol. Like, if we're worried about individuals and their well-being, let's start with a 5 a.m. fucking wake-up call every morning where everybody in the United States has to do some burpees. It could just be 30 burpees in the morning. Take a fucking cold shower, go to bed early, stop drinking, stop eating shit food, put a tax on sugar. Sorry, I guess I was a little too loud. They're closing the door. I'm in a hotel, and I was just cursing and screaming, and I guess it made its way into the lobby. So if you want, listen, I applaud you as a government. If we want to step in and we want to say there's some things that are bad for our species in this country, like driving at a young age. Like, we don't let 12-year-olds drive. It's probably a pretty smart thing to do. We don't let 12-year-olds drink alcohol. It's probably a pretty smart thing to do. We don't let 12-year-olds walk around with handguns. Probably a pretty smart thing to do, right? So, like, we should have some guardrails in place. Not that we want to take away our liberties and our freedom, that protect people from themselves. But fuck, do it with cigarettes and Doritos and fucking Coca-Cola and all this stuff that ultimately weighs on the system, so that when there's a fucking virus coming out of wherever the hell it came out of, the whole world doesn't shut down because we're a bunch of fat fucking fucks. Anyway.
All right, Joe. So I know that
right,
I get it. And that's your platform and your talking points, and I appreciate those. Now, as a citizen, I think it's no secret that you lean towards the right. So I'm curious, which I assume means hands off from the government, right?
Yeah. So
how do you feel about, is this so it's two questions. I'm sorry, let me clarify. Number one, is the media getting it right with David versus Goliath? And B, should David be shut down in this case, or how is that different? That's sort of the question.
No, let me tell you what my feeling on it is. Goliath, because I worked on Wall Street for a long time, is pretty big. It's pretty big. They could withstand. I watch short sellers get killed. I watch long buyers get killed. There's so much money. My best friends run the largest hedge funds in the world. No big deal. No, they could they could lick their wounds and survive. No issue whatsoever. It's really the general public that's going to get crushed here. You got to imagine that, and I've only because I've been around the game since the mid 90s on a trading desk where it was pretty sophisticated, and I saw it all. My accounts were Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Merrill. I saw it all, and so the young traders, these folks that have not seen it all, are going to end up hearing a story about a guy who turned 50,000 into 50 million in one day at GameStop. They're going to end up buying the security at $300, thinking there's no way but up, and they're going to get hurt, and they're not going to be able to lick their wounds. So I would say we should always err on the side of protecting the public. I'm less worried about protecting Wall Street. That's an efficient system. Those guys will figure out ways to make money no matter what's going on. I'm really worried about the public because I've seen the cycles. And by the way, again, you don't believe me, go back and read Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Go back and check out the tulip bulb craze, check out the South Sea craze, and you will see that we as a species have been doing this forever.
Right, but these online brokers and these online accounts that aren't allowing you to trade it anymore, should that be okay?
Um, I know. Look, I love Joe Rogan, and him and I got when I was in the podcast, we were battling a little bit on this idea of freedom, and I know that's where you're going and saying freedom, Mel Gibson, freedom, and I get it, but and I do lean a little more right, and I do lean towards government hands off, but boy, I hate to see everybody blow up their savings accounts.
But that's the free market. What about a guy that puts his life savings into a restaurant and he's a shitty businessman? Oh well.
Yeah, I'm not. Drive through Atlantic City, Matt. Drive through Atlantic City and look at how this is going to be great for the economy. We're going to build a bunch of casinos. It's going to be great, and free markets. And if people want to gamble, that's fine. And then you see a bunch of people, shooting up, smoking cigarettes, living on the sidewalk because they blew all their money. So we do have to protect people from themselves. We do have to put some guardrails in place so that the general population doesn't blow themselves up. If everybody made the right decisions, Matt, we wouldn't have the obesity rates that we have. We wouldn't have the homelessness rates we have. We wouldn't have all these lifestyle diseases that are going on if everybody could just kind of control themselves and do the right thing. But so I'm torn.
I'm going to bring you back a little bit. I'm going to bring you back a little bit though. Do you remember this one? Well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night. Well, come on, sing it with me. You know that song?
I don't.
Meet me tonight in Atlantic City. You're not a Bruce fan? Come on, man.
I am a Bruce fan. Somebody's calling me. Hold on a second.
Tell them to get away.
I'm declining. I decline that.
Good for you. Well, I'm a dirty pinko lefty, and I feel like, buyer beware. There are people that bought Bitcoin at 19,000, right? Which was insane, right, at the time. And then of course it dropped. And if they got rid of it, then that was on them. If they held it, because that was the highest it ever was, but they held it, now it's at 38. That's you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what stocks are. They're speculation. They're gambling.
I know, but not everybody. Like, I say to myself, why? I keep going back to food, and I apologize. Why do people make these terrible decisions with food? I was with the dad of an Olympian over the last 5 days, and I lived in his house, and I got him to start eating healthy and eating salads. And I'm scratching my head saying, how does he not know this? How does he not know this? He's the father of an Olympian. The Olympian doesn't know this. And I say, well, we're not educating folks. And so maybe the answer is, we're just having fun, you and I, but maybe the answer is do whatever you want, buyer beware, but you've got to go through, just like you got to take a driving test before you're allowed to get on the road, before you're allowed to go blow all your money on GameStop. You got to take this 1 week test. That wouldn't be a crazy idea. And then you're on your own. You know the risks before you get in the game. So because it would suck if not only is everybody getting fat and overweight and sick, but they're also going broke. Right? That doesn't really make for a great country. Broke, fat, and sick.
All right, let's move on to. I'd like to talk to you briefly about the Spartan Games. How do you think it came out? The episodes.
I like them. I think we could have done better. Obviously, we had a really tight budget. We had a really tight timeline because you and I had more time. Had I had more budget, it would have even come out better. But I really liked it. I had fun with it.
What would it take to bring it back next year? Or this year?
I want to do it. My new thought on our brand, you're hearing it first, is we do hard shit, right? So this is how we do mountain biking. This is how we do swimming. This is how we do obstacles. And so I want us to bring all those disciplines together under the games. And I want to do it every year. I just have to figure out what, do we do it in Abu Dhabi? Where do we do it? Because we already have so many products and so many things. I don't want to have another thing out there hanging out in the wind. I got to figure out how to pull it together.
Well, this is, and I know you didn't think we were going to talk about this, but this is how my mind works. So this is where it's going to go, because we talked about this. My friend Josh and I talked about this on our show, where the fire ready aim comes in, and I'm a fan of that. That's how I operate a lot of times. But it seems like You do like 7 fire ready aims within the one that hasn't even gotten ready yet. So like you've got like 18 DECA products, right? And we haven't even done a DECA event yet, right? And
I love it because the DECA team, I love that the DECA. I remember when they called me and they said, "All right, we're doing DECA Strong," and I was like, "Wow, we haven't even gotten regular DECA done yet. Now we're doing DECA Strong." And but they figured it out. They did a lot of fire ready aiming, and in the aiming, they've come together with 3 different DECA distances, which I love. And I wouldn't have necessarily thought of that. So I commend them on figuring that out.
except the downside is brand confusion.
Yeah, listen, you don't remember. You might remember the early days. There was brand confusion around Sprint Super Beast. I don't understand. I'm signing up for a sprint, but I ended up at a 13-mile race. Like people couldn't figure it out. But now I think after all these years have gone by and we've communicated a little better, so I think there is going to be some confusion in the early days, no doubt about it.
All right. So last question. You're very optimistic about the country opening up. People are upset. Races are still getting moved around. What are your sources? Because you're a guy who's looking from the 30,000-foot view. What are your sources? What are your thoughts on when you think things might settle down for events?
Well, the crazy thing is
just speculation.
Yeah, it's just speculation. We're pretty plugged in that we have on our board, Spartan's board, is one of the investors in one of the vaccines you've all heard of. So he was the early so we have a direct line to the vaccine, and everything we're being told is that by May, we're going to be feeling pretty good as a country. So could that bleed out to another month or two? Sure, it depends on but everything we're hearing is that May we're going to be in pretty good shape in this country. And one thing you guys should all look at, I've been looking at religiously since last March, is the daily COVID infection rates. Now, obviously, those numbers move based on the amount of testing we do, et cetera. But the last week or so, there's been a tremendous drop off in infection rates. I don't know if you guys are looking at that, but that's the stat that really matters.
Globally, in the U.S., what do you mean specifically?
I look at the U.S.
Where are you right now?
Right now, I am in Pennsylvania. We're talking to some folks about potentially putting on an event here.
Okay.
I'm in a laundry room in a hotel in Pennsylvania because that's the kind of guy I am.
Thank you, Joe, for hopping on short notice. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you watching this program and sitting through those few seconds of ads at the beginning because it helps me do my thing. You know what else helps? Joining that Patreon. That's right, a couple bucks a month, or pay for the whole year and you get a month for free. You get secret access. You get early cool stuff. We do cool stuff as a group. It's really fun. Come on, join it now. Links below. We put out content all the bloody time. We've got a great podcast we do multiple times a week and fun stuff on the IG channel. So check all that stuff out. As I said, links below. Love ya. Miss ya. Mean it. I've got to run.